This is your weekend market review from March 5th, 2023. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at HP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your weekend market recap for March 5th, 2023. Hopefully you had a good week. Little hard, up and down action. A lot of people seem to be, just pretty distraught about how things have changed and how the market continues to play games. We're going to parse through all the evidence, try to help people see what's going on. And again, I always try to warn people, there's going to be times when the market just isn't necessarily easily predictable. And if your goal and your mantra, your thought process is to go check the news out, watch CNBC, really try to find mainstream outlets as the reason why things are happening, typically has something deeper usually coming or a reason. I've said this many times over Twitter and over the Discord rooms. I thought the last couple days of the week was just new money coming in, front running by pressing the market higher. They got people to chase, hence how they were able to press the market higher. Again, but as I always say, the best advertisement for higher prices in the near term is higher prices. Same thing when the market's dumping. You want to try to get people to liquidate, then you bring the market down. No different than when it was running up. So, on that note, let's get into it again. Please be thoughtful. I know a lot of people are reading all this news. Again, focus on your risk management. Focus on what you can control, because ultimately, trading around positions, as we've talked about, choppiness, the news, we have no clue how long this will last. We try to, assume based on certain things. If you look at the Stock Traders Almanac, up and down, choppy, not surprised. This time of year, end of February is usually a pullback. Now we're into March. We'll see what happens. Earnings are over. So be thoughtful, be smart, and let me know if you have any questions. Again, if you've been around and the stuff still doesn't click, there might be no changing for you. Because again, like, people either realize some things are wrong and they have to change, or they look for the outside noise and they go to the market and they do all the wrong things. Again, there's a reason why 95% of traders fail, right? Well, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're probably going to get the same results. Again, hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions. Please, if you've been around, new, whatever, I don't care. Please watch the Back to Basics. I'm telling you, there's so many little things that you have to be aware of within the market. And again, you can't memorize all this and remember it. So have a journal, have a notes, review it daily, review it weekly, whatever you need to do to stay on top of your mind. Because ultimately, mental and emotional capital are by far the most important things you have to be aware of. And if you can't take control of that stuff, you're just going to bleed out. Ultimately, you're just going to do what the markets want you to do, which is lose money. I just try to explain this to people very nicely. Bitcoin, why is that showing? This is not the correct Bitcoin chart for me. This looks like, not surprised. You restart the computers, you do everything. Or they just deleted all my charts and drawings. That's not cool. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Let's see if it's going to be on the oil stuff. Nope. Okay, so I have the wrong one. I apologize. Give me 2 seconds. If you have any questions, please reach out. Again, I'm telling you, people just struggle with this. All right, well, we're not going to draw the charts. I'll have to come back and redo it. Either way, we talked about coming into these levels. Bitcoin might take a break. Now you're up here chopping around. You got to watch the 21s, 22 level. That breaks, because right now, mid-22s, I'm a little frustrated my charts aren't drawn. For some reason it didn't save, but can't cry over spilled milk. You're going to have, looks like you have what I'd call, the market has memory. It's going to be really hard to get over this, because there's a lot of people who sold down here, I don't think, or trapped. Yeah, because again, think about both sides, buyers and sellers. We'll see. Again, it's just one of those things. Oil, trapping. We've talked about this for a while. We'd really like to see it in the mid-60s to buy it, believe in it, trust it. As of right now, however, I tried to keep people away from shorting this stuff, because again, maybe it pops up on geopolitical stuff, triggers the Feds to do what? Not pivot, which I don't think they are. Inflation is very clearly entrenching. Nat gas, nice week for it. We talked about this little gap potentially being a little professional gap, maybe chop gap, start of a chop move. Well, here you go, coming into resistance here. We'll see. It's been a solid trade if you did buy the extremes, but you only had 1 day, which makes it pretty hard. The very low of the chop channel, which go back into the past, you'll see. Yeah, I've said this a million times. I mean, I think natural gas at some point pops, but it might play this game of chop. So if I think it's going to be choppy, you know me personally, it's just I'd rather move on to other stuff. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but it's I guess it's not. The dollar, talked about it holding up last week. A lot of choppiness, sloppiness. Again, I still think the dollar's going higher. We're like, oh wait, how does that happen? And it's like, yeah, because the Feds aren't going to pivot. The dollar's holding up. Inflation is entrenching globally. People are starting, we've seen China try to pump liquidity in. It just seems very logical that the dollar will go higher. I've said this a billion times. Ultimately, the last move in the dollar, if you believe in a blow off top in the dollar, will be up. It's not going to be down. It's going to be the blow off top and the blow off tops. But keep in mind, new money, new month. Here it came in. Talked about, I guess in my mind, I watched it during the week. I forgot I haven't done a recording. I was watching this action. Posted charts on Twitter, said, watch what happens here. Okay, gap's higher. So now you have chop range. Now, again, new money, new month. Again, higher prices maybe gets people to chase. Some people are comfortable for the rest of the year holding for, 4 or 5% on bonds. So maybe that's, again, personally, I wouldn't buy bonds, but not surprised if they chop around. I mean, some people are going to like that stuff. The VIX, holy testicle Tuesday. Look at that. Brought right back down. I was watching this week and was like, you know what? The 100-day. And again, if you watch the previous recaps, we said, don't be surprised if it backs off. I will say the last 2 days, to me, a little bit anomalous. But I was also reading that people were buying trillion. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this, again, I can't confirm this because I just read headlines. $1 trillion worth of out of the money puts were bought last week. Well, they got shredded and the VIX got stomped. So, yeah, there's how it plays out. The SPY, nice little rip. Now, a lot of people are going, oh, this is the start of the next up move. Okay, well, we've seen this before, right? We've seen this kind of action before, right? You get this, little counter rally up. Feds talk, Feds speak, whatever, all a bunch of noise. The difference now, 20-day curling down. 20-day curling down, coming into resistance. 20-day curling down, coming into resistance. We'll see what happens here. Now, again, this is where risk management is going to come into play. Because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I read this, and I think this. Okay, well, throw that out the window because that's not going to help you hit enter. Because if you were going to use stops and you didn't use stops, well, then guess what? The news isn't going to help you not use stops. So this is the thing. Know your levels, know the areas. I would watch this. Now, again, watching it, a lot of people say, well, look, back tested the 200-day, it bounced. Okay. There's nothing you can really say. I mean, what triggered it? It's clearly, people are saying, oh, it's the Fed speak. The more I'm reading around, it looked like there was a lot of people buying puts last week, and they got squeezed. And they smashed the VIX down. And could we go higher? Here's the thing. In the end, do not give back your gains. Right? Do not sit here and go, well, I believe the bear market has to continue. What if it just retests again? I have no clue ultimately what ultimately happened. That's where people are looking for certainty. They need to start playing probabilities and manage their risk. Because they can read everything about what's going on in the world, and it doesn't matter in the sense of like what you have to do. If you've been short, you got to cover. If you've been long, then you probably have to be thoughtful. I mean, you name it, whatever. It's just, again, take less variables. It's easier to decide. If you're spending time trying to parse through everything out there that's noise, we'll see. All right, Qs, held the 200-day, bounced. It's very interesting because, again, looking at the monthly, doji, hammer, could this just ultimately all be a wick before it goes lower? Right? Could it just be? And it's just that part of the month? I mean, you tell me, folks. A lot of people get super caught up on the day-to-day action. And I know it hurts. Some of the trades had to stop out. Or if you had to find risk and you bought long-dated puts and you traded around it, you do what you got. You hopefully have some cash so that when you can put to work. Keep an eye on the Qs, again, around the 299, 300 level. It's all stuff we talked about actually last week, which is rather interesting. Right? Talked about these levels. All right, well, we're a little higher. Could it stretch a little higher? Again, always. You don't really know what's a wick until it starts. IWM held the range lows back at the 20-day. Curious to see how this does. Again, could it pop up Monday? Maybe. We'll see. I mean, be thoughtful. Dia, again, took out the lows, then rallied back. Coming into this area, I mean, all this stuff, we don't know. We don't know for sure. There's a lot of inflection points coming up this week. So if you have questions, chart. Watch the areas. Gold, we talked about it, should bounce. Didn't short any. Still got a little dusty that I'm looking to add on. Didn't add any end of last week. Figured, I'll show you why here in a second. But here you go. Gold coming back into pop zone. Silver, nice little popper. Pop. Still dead money. It just doesn't really look like it. It looks like it's going to fill, or it did fill the gap. Meh. GDX, here we go. Not surprised. Bounced a little bit. Again, oversold. Coming in the 20-day. Here's the channel. And here's the thing about, whatever you want to call it. If we close, that's such a, wrong. I'm looking at the weekly. Apologize. Let me bring that in there. Check this out. Why I did not add dust just yet. I could be wrong. But when you get these counter moves, like you even had here, might take a week or two, right? Or you make a slightly higher high and then you drop. So, point being, if you like dust, which I do, if you have stops, right, you have your plan and you took some off around 16 or whatever it got to, 15, 16s, now it pops and you're looking in the 14s, right? Manage the risk. I can't tell you how many times people are looking for the easy answer and there isn't one. That's a part of life. And so at this point, I'd be watching these areas. I think they're shorts. GDXJ, people are looking at J-Nug, I get it. All right, maybe it's 30. You're probably closer than not. So we're in this range. Let's start to power through these. AG, this thing has been just absolute dog crap. Talked about this gapping down. I was like, geez, that's ugly. Hits the long-term trend line. I still think there's lower trend lines actually out there on the monthly. Here, give me 2 seconds. I'll show you. Still not there yet. But doesn't mean it can't dead cat bounce. This is where, again, certainty. Just all it needs to do is fill its gap, maybe chop around. AEM. And again, AG down on it. It's earnings, but whatever. Chopping, 200-day, maybe. And again, I sense a lot of frustration, so maybe they got squeezed out. People who sold the lows. PAAS. Just keep in mind, like, this is what sometimes miners do. Chop. Chop. Leave them alone. Newmont. Sorry, skip that one. The order. Yeah, just chopping. I really don't know what to say. AMD. Now this is where it's gonna all get funny. We're gonna talk about all these levels again. Here you go. 20-day. Same thing. Just watch what happens up here. NVIDIA. Yeah, I know. Chopping around. They've got their secondary coming. Closed at the highs. Okay. Again, I'm watching this area on the weekly tremendously. There's a reason. We'll see. All this area is very congestive, right? Very congestive. So watch what happens up here. Because remember, this is where the move started. Now you're retesting it. Are we really going to go higher? Your question, as good as mine. You know what I mean? Keep it on. Keep it on your watch list. Taiwan Semi, again, Buffett dumped. Here you go, chopping around. I'd love to see it up near 91s. SMH, right? Chopping 20-day. Maybe it fills this little gap. Keep this all in the back of your mind. Thought to, again, talked about 241s chopping. All right, well, today's Friday's action. A little choppy, but here you go. Again, whenever in doubt, zoom out. Look at the weekly. Here's the 20-week. 20-week. Rolling over. There's your weekly trap. Is this a trap again? Is it a retest? This is what's so hard. Everyone's got tunnel vision, always watching the one time frame. Adobe. Let's run through tech again. Gaps down. Rallies back. Okay, we'll see how long it holds. Keep that in mind. Just be aware. Apple. Talked about it getting down, popping back. Look where it comes right back to. If you want to add in this again, if you shorted up here and you traded around it, now you got some gifts. See what happens here. Just keep it in mind. Amazon. Here you go. Chopping. 50-day. I know it's tough. We'll see. Again, these stocks, some of these look like crap. CRM pops up big on earnings. Man, that looks really distributive. Things that you would think, like if this is a bull market and as they're trying to create and like that belief, Look. We'll see. I mean, just watch that area. Google. Hits this little trend line. Man, I guess that's close enough. I mean, probably missed it by like a penny. Whatever. Rallying. Oversold bounce. Again, all this stuff. Meta. Now, here we go. Meta. Getting the upgrades. Talking about TikTok bans. Where is it? Right. It's right back to up. Again, hit the alarm up. Started adding back some more. Underwater on some positions. But again, I'm not too, I guess the way to describe it, I'll just, my risk management has to be at play here. Could it come all the way back up into the 190s? Absolutely. There's no doubt that that's always possible. Just keep in mind, the stock, it's a joke. I mean, these companies, again, you're investing in the past. Microsoft, ChatGPT, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I mean, you drop down, not surprised you do a little bounce. Again, it's one of those things I always laugh. Like, if you disappeared for a month, or sorry, not a month, a week, you come back, all this action would have looked pretty normal. NDAQ, again, we talk about tech being done. Things that you know, like, again, this exchange should not be absolutely getting beaten if tech is the future. I'm telling you, volumes are going to die on these things. MicroStrategy, again, Bitcoin looks like it's rolling. Well, MicroStrategy might be rolling with it to lead. Green candles the last 2 days, but yeah, they lower lows, lower highs. Tough to know. Netflix, we talked about this one, lagging, and it is. Just lagging. Something's wrong with it. Maybe it bounces there. I mean, you are at support. We'll see. Again, it just depends. Roblox, again, talked about didn't short it. If you did 46 down to 35, pretty solid. Now here, is this going to be like a left, right shoulder? Here's your head. Just keep an eye on it. Tesla has been dead, struggling here the last couple days. Game over candle, if you can see why. Right here in red, high volume high, long wick. Rallies back to the 20-day. Again, worth watching. If you got your Tesla Q in the 42, 43, 44, whatever range. I can't remember the exact bottoms. What was it? Yeah, 42, 43, 44. You're looking good. Materials. Now, again, I've said please stay away from these because they have, in shorting wise, because they have been holding up. Interesting. If you go check out the weekly on Nucor, here you go. At the old weekly trend line. Old Faithful. We'll see if it gets over it. Either way, again, I prefer not to short commodities, but they're holding up. So the market is holding up. Right? Market is holding up. Leaders are holding up better. We'll see what happens if this is just, again, new money, new traps, right? New money, new month. Nucor. What was it? Porsche Calgary told this dude, like, please, be careful with these names because, again, geopolitical risk. Also, look, Nucor. Within 3 days, gives 4 days. I mean, all last week, just again, I'd rather stay away from these. Caterpillar got stopped out of this one and looking to reload. Now here's the question: you're over the 20-day, you held this. Okay, well the market's holding up. Where would you probably look to reshort? Didn't do anything. Kind of just watching it. Do we fill the gap? It's always possible, but I'd be watching the mid. I mean, we're close enough for government work. Getting there. VALE. And chopping around, holding up, gaps up, chops, no. Arrow Copper actually holding up better, making new highs. Curious if this is blow offish or just a start of a move. We'll see. I mean, you're coming into some just absolute massive resistance up here. We'll see if it can get through it. CCJ, as we talked about, shorted at 29. But again, these material names just, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at them, keep an eye on it, but I just don't have any trust in long or short. I wouldn't short them. CF getting over the 50-day. Man, this thing looks like a just heart rhythm. Chopping. Tough to know. Mosaic. This one actually holding up a little better naturally. Or not naturally, obviously. Okay. We'll see. I mean, keep in mind, CF and them are a little stronger. This one's come back a little more. Just interesting to watch. Again, these are names I just wouldn't short, but I'm watching them. NTR coming into the trend line, 200-day, worth a watch. Alcoa. Nice little rally back, obviously. Keep an eye on it. We'll see it. This stuff is just going to be hard. Do you believe the bull market? No. Keep in mind, the market, the Fed pivot is not, when the Feds pivot, the market actually tanks. Now, it usually runs up into a Fed pivot potentially, but keep in mind, if the Feds are pivoting, that means the economy is falling off a cliff. And as of right now, I'm anticipating higher interest rates. They've got to push the economy back and slow down because inflation entrenches. It's like keeping rates too long for too low. They're going to have to raise rates to kill inflation. Can they do it? I don't know, but market's probably going to price that in. And you're probably going to have a recession at some point. XLF, financials. Chopping around. Here's you go. Opportunities. Knox. Man, it's a big move right here. Chopping around. I would keep an eye on it. Maybe the 20-day. We'll see. I mean, all these things, very tough to know for sure. Hence why you have risk management. JP Morgan chopping around, holding up at the highs. Morgan Stanley, this thing has been lagging in the sense that it's not back near its highs. 20-day. Is this a left, right? Here's your shoulder. Or sorry, your head potentially. Goldman Sachs. This one has been lagging. Yeah, laggards lag. Keep an eye on it. XBI. This one's been just nothing. Again, it's tough to know. This is the thing. The market has some leaders. The market has some lagging. Overall, it's really tough to know for sure. That's where I'm trying to explain to people, hey, you manage your risk. That's all you can do. Define your risk if you're buying puts. Know that they can go absolutely to zero, but absolutely manage your risk. Solar. Holy crap. Tan. Chopping around. Okay. We'll see. Back in the chop zone. ENPH. Not surprised, went under 200 and then, kind of chops around over the 20-day. Again, the volume's kind of crap, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can't keep rising. It's definitely just chopping around. Sedgerton trying to get back up to 340. We'll see. First Solar, here you go. Here's defining your risk, knowing what you can be willing to lose. Look at this thing. It makes no sense, right? None. Check out the monthly. I mean, you've gone absolutely bonkers. But here was the thing about what was so hard about this one. Look, check this out. Here's again the monthly. The month's not over. This thing comes out with earnings. I mean, again, I don't know. I didn't think they're that great. Good, bad, doesn't matter. Gaps up, continues higher. Here was the difference, though, that propelled this, in my opinion. You got a bunch of analysts raising their targets. They upgraded this thing at the highs. It feels like the ultimate buddy pass, right? Is this the start of the move? We'll see, right? Now, I know there's a lot of money that might slush into solar, but but who's funding it? People getting solar credits. We'll see. I mean, I personally don't know a single person adding solar right now because of their financial situations. People just don't have the funds, but they're trying to get the credits. New year, maybe they try to do it with their taxes. I don't know. Either way, define your risk, have stops. I don't trust this move, but that gap up, now 3-day rule in effect. It's hard to know, man. It is tough to know. HYG, always like to take a look at this guy. Gal, chopping around. Remember, high risk debt, corporate debt, high yield debt. That's what we're watching here. We'll see what happens here. They tend to like when the market's going up, rates are going down. Keep an eye on it. We'll end it with oil and gas. This has been a tough end of the week. That's why you got to define your risk. You just can't sit here with your thumb up your butt, just hoping and wishing you're always going to be right, because sometimes you just got to you got to set your stops and you can walk away. And if they hit, they hit. Or you define your risk and you go, okay, I'm happy. I bought, instead of buying 50 puts, you bought 2 or 3. And if they go to 0, it's not going to blow up your account. Oil and gas, chopping around. UNG, hey, look at that. Pop 7%. Good for them. I mean, again, if you bought it down here, cool. I think you got your, here's your new money, new month. Does it hold up? We'll see. You gotta define your risk here. Let's run through the oil and gas. XOP, that is, hit the trend line. Look at that little doji rally back. Now you're back up against the chop zones. It's really tough to know anything for sure at this point. Occidental makes new lows, chopping. Doesn't really look that great. ExxonMobil, we talked about this one lagging as it made new all-time highs. See what happens here. Just keep an eye on it. PXD every day. Some guy gets mad at it. I was like, oh, be careful. Took out the lows. Look at that. Comes right back. Now, here's the thing sometimes about trades like this, and this is what can be so hard. You take out the lows, you rally back, and then eventually you go lower. Is that a trap? Yes, that's how you trap. So be thoughtful. Let's end it with the EQT and the flex, chopping, flexor. Here you go, 35s, back nearer the highs. We'll see. It's tough to know. Either way, please reach out if you have questions because you're struggling, not because you can't find the answers. Try to do your best. Ultimately, is always to do what? Learn how to struggle. Learn how to figure this out. But when you're not sure, do not go check the news. Don't try to front run what the feds are going to do. Don't try to put yourself in a position to do things based on the news, because that's not the truth here. You have to be careful. We've talked about, like, look at the previous SPY dead cat rallies that come out of nowhere. It happens a lot, and a lot of people don't really expect that. And that's what's so hard about trading, right? Right? Think about it. And if there's going to be times where you just don't know. That's where your ego, that's where you have to pretend you're not omnipotent. You can't always win. You have to be thoughtful. And when the people don't and people aren't, that's where I say it's great that you might win 80% of the time, but it's the 1 and 2 times you're wrong or defined how big and great your year's going to be. Because that's the thing. There's always swing trades. There's always stuff going on. But if you're trying to always be right and believe you're always going to be right, at some point you're going to get wiped out. That's where I'm here to help you guys. Again, that's where the education, the value in the tuition bill, hopefully you're saving on. Because at some point, everybody out there in the universe trying to tell you how to trade, how to do things correctly, how they're always going to be right, or not always going to be right, giving you ideas, they're not trying to explain to you the risk management side of this. Some are. There's some actually really good people out there. But in general, like, that's not the mindset. It's, hey, it's my team, we can only win. And you're pretending, and this is how I'll end it with a good analogy. You went to college, you believe in your team, whatever school, sport. Does your team always win? No. How do you react when they lose? Because that says a lot about, same thing with trading. Do you pretend that, I have to win all the time and I can't lose? Well, if you do, then you're really setting yourself up for failure, right? Because that's the thing. Maybe your favorite team is NC State. It's UConn, like Scott, or some of these other folks. Guess what? You can't always win. That's the problem here. And so if you bet on winning all the time and you increase your bet, the more you win, what happens? When you're wrong once, it really knocks you down. So this is where, again, pay yourself, pay your taxes, take money out, enjoy something fun for your family, put some money away. Again, ultimately trading is a game, taking money out to live off of. And if you continuously grow your trading and never take profits, and you get more and more cocky, I can tell you how it ends. It ends with a big loss, and then maybe years, months, weeks, all down the drain, and now you don't have your confidence, and now you're gambling more. It starts a spin cycle out of control. I'm here to help you guys, again, because it's all mental. Again, if you're sitting around looking at the news trying to predict what the hell is going to happen on Monday, let the weekend ride. We don't know, right? We do know it's end of earnings. It's over. You got some Fed. You got the jobs numbers on Friday. That's about it. I mean, I guess, yeah, you got a little bit of news, but factory orders, you don't really have much going on. So could the market play games until the jobs numbers? Now, again, they're expecting 200,000 jobs like they were for every month other than last month. So we'll see how the market likes it. We don't know the reaction. All right, here to help. Be safe, be thoughtful. Again, reflect on what's going on. If you get emotional versus just act, you have problems. I'm telling you. Talk to you later.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.